United we stand, divided we fall. Whose side are you on?
Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here. So, it is time for another review in my Marvel Cinematic Universe Infinity Saga Marathon of Reviews. And this is going to be for what is overall the 13th installment of the MCU's Infinity Saga, and also the start of a brand new phase for the franchise. And this movie, of course, is none other than 2016's Captain America Civil War. This was, of course, directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, and, of course, is based on the character of the same name, Captain America. So, when it comes to how this film was made, development of this film began in late 2013 when Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely began writing the screenplay, which borrows concepts from the 2006 comic book storyline Civil War, while also focusing on story and character elements from the previous Captain America films to conclude the trilogy. Following positive reactions to The Winter Soldier, the Russo brothers were brought back to direct in early 2014, and the film's title and premise were revealed in October 2014, along with Robert Downey Jr.'s involvement as Iron Man in this film. Additional cast members were joined in the following months. Filming began in April 2015 at Pinewood Atlanta Studios in Fayette County, Georgia, and continued in the Metro Atlanta area before concluding in Germany in August 2015, with the film being the first to use IMAX's digital 2D cameras, and this was of course for the film's airport fight sequence. The visual effects were provided by nearly 20 different studios. The film had its world premiere in Los Angeles on April 12, 2016, and was released in the United States on May 6 as the first film in Phase 3 of the MCU. The film was a commercial success, grossing over $1.1 billion worldwide, becoming the highest grossing film of 2016, and received positive reviews, including praise for the performances, particularly of Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., action sequences, and the themes. When it comes to my first reaction to this film, guys, as I talked about in my reviews for Ant-Man and Avengers Age of Ultron, I was not able to see this film at the cinema due to, of course, me having to revise for my exams for school, so I was very busy doing revision and sitting see so I didn't have time to see this film at the cinema, sadly. I did, however, watch this film for the first time when it came to television once, and I gotta say that I really enjoyed it. I think it's a good movie. Although when it comes to a Captain America trilogy, it's probably my least favourite for several reasons. But it's still, in my opinion, a very good movie. So what is this movie about? So in this film, disagreement over international oversight of the Avengers fractures the team into two opposing factions, one led by Steve Rogers and the other by Tony Stark. So when it comes to what I think is good about this movie then, the film has a really great cast of actors. Now, as I touched upon in my previous reviews, which are the films that star Chris Evans as Captain America, while I, of course, lost respect for him and I no longer like him as a person in real life, I will say that for what it's worth, in this movie, Steve Rogers is more likeable than Chris Evans, in my opinion. And also as well, Robert Downey Jr. returns as Iron Man in this, and once again gives a great performance, as always. Perfect casting for a role right there. And when it comes to other returning characters, I definitely as well once again love Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow in this. I thought she played her part really well once again. And I also as well, definitely loved Sebastian Stan as Bucky in this. And I definitely really liked his characterization in this. I thought he was played really well in this. And I definitely as well loved Anthony Mackie as the Falcon in this. And I like how he got a much bigger role compared to Age of Ultron and the first Ant-Man movie. I like how in this film he finally got to play a big role again, which I was happy about. Don Cheadle was also good as War Machine as well, and so was as well returning was Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye in this. Although Hawkeye doesn't appear until over into the film when he joins Rogers' side after he, of course, initially retired from being an Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. agent with his family, he then comes back. So I am glad that he returned to aid Steve. And also as well returning is Paul Bettany as the Vision. And when it comes to a vision in this franchise, guys, I'm personally not a fan of how he's characterized. And one of my qualities with this film, which I'll say, is I didn't really like how he and Wanda, played once again by Liz Olsen, had a romance. In my opinion, that came out of nowhere and wasn't really developed properly, in my opinion. I think they should have developed it better, to be honest. I think it should have been better written. But Paul Bettany was still good as Vision, so was Liz Olsen as Wanda, once again. And also returning as well from Winter Soldier is Emily Van Camp as Sharon Carter. And I think she was once again good in her role as well. And also as well, Frank Grillo comes back from Winter Soldier as Brock Rumlow, who now goes by the name of Crossbones in this film. And all visible quality I do have with how they handled Rumlow in this film, though, sadly. But I did like how he became Crossbones, though. And also returning from the first Ant-Man movie is Paul Rudd reprising his role as Scott Lang. And I definitely really loved how he got to team up with Steve's team. That was pretty cool. That was pretty nice how he teamed up with them, and he got to do lots of pretty cool things in the battle. And I like how as well he became Giant Man as well, which was a pretty cool thing as well. And when it comes to new characters introduced in this film, so this film introduces other Marvel heroes. One that I definitely want to talk about is most definitely, of course, Black Panther, who is the prince of the African nation of Wakanda, who allies with Tony Stark following the death of his father, King T'Chaka, played by John Carney. And, of course, this was, of course, the debut of Chadwick Boseman, may he rest in peace, as Black Panther. Black Panther will always be my favourite role of his, and we definitely lost Chadwick far too soon. So, yeah, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, and Wakanda forever. Yeah, you're an absolute legend, Chadwick, and you definitely gave an amazing performance in your first appearance as the Prince of Wakanda. And I definitely think as well that T'Challa's quote about death not being the end, it really does hit so differently following Chadwick's death. It really hits so differently nowadays. Yeah, rest in peace, Chadwick. When it comes to other new characters in this film, now, this film it does introduce another notable character, and that, of course, would have to be my favourite superhero of all time, which is Spider-Man, played, of course, by Tom Holland in his debut as the character. And when I saw this film, I was actually very impressed with Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I think he did a great job playing him in his first appearance. I mean, I still prefer Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield more, but I think Tom Holland was really good in his first appearance as a character. And it kind of left me looking forward to more of him. And I was disappointed with how Spider-Man was portrayed in Spider-Man Homecoming, though. But I did like him a lot in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. A little bit in Far From Home, but I did, however, then love him in No Way Home. I think No Way Home was when he finally became a Spider-Man we know from the comics. But I will say that, in my opinion, Tom Holland's Spider-Man works best as a supporting character, in my opinion, and all the way to No Way Home. So yeah, I like him the most when he's a supporting character in this film and the other Avengers movies after it, and then No Way Home, where he finally becomes Spider-Man we know. And I think one of the reasons why this film grows so much money is because lots of people went to see this at cinema due to, of course, one of the trailers revealing Spider-Man at the end, of course, where he takes character to make a shield from him and then says, "Hey, everyone." So yeah, I think it got lots of people into cinema to watch it because of the debut of Spider-Man. So yeah, And I gotta say that he was actually pretty good in this movie and was very likeable as well and fun to watch. And I especially as well love how he referenced The Empire Strikes Back when fighting Giant Man. That was definitely a pretty cool reference right there. When it comes to other new characters as well introducing this, we also got a supporting character who is associated with Black Panther, which is Everett K. Ross, who is played by Martin Freeman in his first appearance as a character. Everett K. Ross is one of my favourite roles of Martin Freeman, great actor. My favourite role of his was Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit movie trilogy. But I think Everett K. Ross is probably one of his best roles he's played, in my opinion. And he does a pretty good American accent as well, which was pretty cool. Or pretty good accent for a role. Pretty convincing too, really. So yeah. And when it comes to a film's villain, aside from the whole, battle between two factions, the film's villain, of course, is a Sokovian colonel-turned-terrorist who's obsessed with defeating the Avengers. And that, of course, is none other than Helmut Zemo, also known onto the comics as Baron Zemo. And he's, of course, played in this by Daniel Bruhl. And I think Daniel Bruhl definitely did a really great job playing Baron Zemo in his first appearance as a character. And one of my favourite roles of his, for sure. My favourite role of his is probably Frederick Zola in Inglourious Bastards. But I think in this film, he was definitely really good as him. And think he did a very good job. And also as well, when it comes to others who reprise their roles, we also get the return of our character who does come back from the Incredible Hulk. So while I appreciate that this film does connect to the Incredible Hulk movie from 2008, which in my opinion is the MCU's most underrated movie, the character it brings back is unfortunately a character that I did not like from that film, and that is General Ross. Because those of you who don't know, I hate General Ross, and I hate him a lot more in this film because it's due to him that the Avengers split up, because he makes them sign the Sokovia Accords. So it's because of him that they're apart. So that made me hate the character a lot more. I mean, because as much as I love Incredible Hulk movie, he's my biggest bad quality with that movie. He's my main downfall with that movie. So, but William Hurtville, may rest in peace, did a great performance though, nonetheless. He did a great job making the character so unlikable. And definitely, you know, portrayed him really well in these movies. But the character I hate, and I especially hate him in this film because he split the Avengers up. When it comes to always a reprise their roles from previous movies, we also as well got John Slattery returning as Howard Stark, Tony's father, and also Kerry Condon as the voice of Tony's new AI called Friday. So I was pretty cool when they came back, and also as well, when it comes to the film's cameos, we got a pretty cool cameo appearance by the legendary Stan Lee, may rest in peace, where he appears as a FedEx delivery man at the end, in a very funny cameo where he knocks on the window, and he asks, "Are you Tony Stank?" Like, that was just so hilarious, and Stan Lee's an absolute legend, and yeah, rest in peace, Stan Lee. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for Marvel. Thank you for co-creating so many iconic, wonderful characters and inspiring billions of people around the world. Thank you, Stan. Rest in peace. We also got a cameo appearance by Hawk Davis as Tony's mother called Maria. So it was pretty nice to finally see Tony's mother appear in this. And as well as, of course, a great cast, a great ensemble cast, we also, as well, got other great things in this. So the film has a pretty good story, in my opinion. I think it's definitely, you know, a pretty shocking moment how characters who are once allies can turn against each other and fight. Like, that was actually a pretty cool idea right there. And pretty tragic too, I might add. And also as well, the film has amazing visual effects as well, which are absolutely fantastic. Like, this film is from 2016, guys, and in my opinion, it holds up really well. And one example of this is probably the flashback scenes with Tony's parents, and we get to see young Tony. And what's amazing is they actually de-aged Robert Downey Jr. to appear like a teenager in that scene, and they really did an amazing job de-aging him. It was very convincing, like, very impressive. Definitely way better than the MCU CGI nowadays, isn't it? Like, wow. And also as well, the film as a whole is visually stunning. The CGI is very impressive, and the fight scenes are also very well choreographed. My favourite scene in the film is undoubtedly the airport battle. That is just absolutely epic, and we get to see our characters in action. It's just so much fun to see. And it's just a very impressive fight scene that was done so well. In my opinion, I had a really fun time watching that. And also as well, the film has a great soundtrack composed by Henry Jackman as well, which is definitely great music to listen to. In my opinion, he's quite an underrated composer who does great music, and I think he deserves more attention, Henry Jackman. I think the film also handles tragedy as well, pretty well in my opinion. So, for instance, such as the accident, of course, in Lagos, which accidentally kills innocent people when a building blows up, very tragic. Then also as well, I think one thing that was definitely very tragic in this was probably the twist where it reveals who was responsible for the death of Tony's parents. And that, of course, was unfortunately Bucky when he was under control as Hydra's agent, the Winter Soldier, which was very unfortunate. So, and I think as well, Robert Downey Jr.'s acting in that scene when he finds out that Bucky was one who killed his parents under the control of Winter Soldier, and Steve knew about this, was definitely great acting from Robert, in my opinion. You can definitely tell how heartbroken he is, and he feels betrayed as well. And I think that fight scene as well, the final fight was very powerful, in my opinion, as well. And also as well, when it comes to other games about a movie as well, in my opinion, the film has a great pace, because this film is 147 minutes, guys. It's over 2 hours, and in my opinion, the pacing is brilliant. There's lots of action scenes in this movie, and it never gets boring. I think even the scenes as well where where of course, you know, characters are talking. It's pretty intense, I might add. Such as where they're splitting up, for example, by signing the Accords. It's definitely, you know, very intense, and it keeps you going and interested. And it's just definitely, a good idea, really, how they did that. You know, characters who were once friends are now fighting each other. So, I definitely really like that idea. So, this film is definitely really good, guys. And when it comes to other things which are tragic as well, it's also confirmed in this film that unfortunately Peggy Carter has also passed away of old age, and Steve goes to a funeral with Sam. And so that was definitely very tragic. And yeah, rest in peace to Peggy. And so, yeah, this film, for what it is worth, is absolutely fun to watch. It might be my least favourite Captain America movie of all time, but I still have a lot of fun watching it. And it was definitely a lot of fun watching it for the first time. And, however, when it comes to my bad quality with this movie then, so I've already said that I hated how this film brought back General Ross. Even though it does connect to the Incredible Hulk movie, I hate how it brought him back, because I personally hated Ross, and I hated how he's one who splits up the Avengers by making them sign the Accords. And I also, as well, like I said, didn't really like the romance between Vision and Wanda. In my opinion, it was underdeveloped and not written that well, in my opinion. It could have been done so much better. And when it comes to Crossbones in this, while I thought it was cool how Brock Rumlow became Crossbones, I hate how he hardly appeared in the film and only appeared in a fight scene in Lagos, and then he got killed. That was very disappointing, in my opinion. I was hoping he'd appear more in the film, because I definitely liked him a lot in Winter Soldier, and sadly, he unfortunately got wasted in this movie. Thankfully, he does have a cameo appearance in Endgame, but as an alternate version of him, so that was nice. But I still think it was disappointing that he got wasted in this, sadly. Very disappointing. And also, as well, when it comes to the introduction of Spider-Man in this film, guys, while I did, of course, like his debut in this movie and for his franchise, I was, however, pretty annoyed by the casting of his Aunt May. And May Parker is, of course, played by Marissa Tomei, and as I touched upon in my reviews for the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, I personally do not like the casting of Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. In my opinion, she's a miscast, because Aunt May in the comics is supposed to be an old lady, right? So, and Marissa Tomei is far too young for a role, like way too young. I mean, I do like her as an actress, guys, in other things, but I personally think she was a miscast for a character of Aunt May in this, to be honest. Like, because when I picture Aunt May, I picture an old lady, and I feel that she was a miscast in that sense, to be honest. So I was really disappointed with that casting, and I especially didn't really like how it appeared as though she and Tony Stark were going to have a relationship and the look of things because we were interacting. Like, I'm thinking, no, come on, Tony should be trying to reconcile with Pepper, because it's revealed in this film that he and Pepper aren't really on good terms, sadly. So I was not happy, really, with how he handled Aunt May in this movie. And also, guys, one thing that I think is also quite questionable about this movie is probably the title, because it's very hard to call this film a Cap movie, because while, of course, Cap is the main character first built in the credits, of course, I kind of feel that he's not the main focus of this movie. In my opinion, and the film focuses on the Avengers who appear in this movie. I think it would have been much better if they called this Avengers Civil War. I think it would probably make a lot more sense, to be honest, because the story revolves around lots of a team. I mean, the only ones who don't appear are Hulk and Thor, and that's because they're absent due to, of course, being in Thor Ragnarok a year after this, which explains where they've been. So, it was just, quite confusing, really. So, I think this film would have been much better if it was called Avengers Civil War. I think it would have been a lot better. I mean, even Anthony Mackie calls this film an Avengers 2.5, and he's not wrong at all, because it feels more like that than a Captain America movie, to be honest. So, yeah. I would like to call this Avengers Civil War, to be honest, because Cap, while he's the main character, is not the focus, because it focuses on the other Avengers as well as him as main characters. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, so that is my opinion on Captain America Civil War. In my opinion, it's a fun MCU movie, but I personally regard it as my least favourite Captain America movie. I mean, it's still good, but still my least favourite one out of the Cap movies that I've seen. And it's still a good film nonetheless. So if I was to give it a score out of 10, I'd probably give it a very decent score of 8 out of 10. It is good in my opinion, but weaker than the previous two Captain America movies in my opinion. So yeah, that's my opinion. So guys, this is me doing my review for our Captain America Civil War. So Oh, you know all the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to tell us in the comments what you guys think Character Maker Civil War. If you've seen it, in the comments below what you think of it. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe and views in the future. If you would like to be a member, you can install using a piece of light or in the description, and I'll see you all later.